Hey everyone, how are you today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Despite the little bit of snow that we got, I guess I shouldn't say a little bit, our yard is completely covered again. I'm hoping you're having a wonderful day. So I asked for suggestions on different meals to make earlier this week when I posted one of the meals on Facebook, and somebody put in that they would like to have a low carb tater tot hot dish made. So per their request, here is low carb tater tot hot dish tonight. So a couple of little variances. Instead of using actual tater tots, we're going to be using veggie tots or tots made out of broccoli and cheese. And then I'm making it a little different in that I kind of went through the recipe and picked out some of the higher carb things that can sabotage us. And so I'll kind of point out those differences. So in advance, I've already browned 2 pounds of 93% lean burger and seasoned it up with garlic powder, onion powder, some pepper and salt, drained the fat off, and then added to it about 1/8 of a cup, maybe not quite that amount, of soy sauce. I like the flavor of soy sauce, and it kind of just gives the hot dish that much more of a kick. And so I did put some soy sauce in here, so sorry that you weren't able to see that part. But basic, just browning burger, chopping it all up, season it, drain it, then add the soy sauce. Now we're gonna take the ground beef and we are going to put it into our glass baking dish or casserole dish. If you have a smaller family and you don't need 2 pounds of ground burger, you certainly don't have to use 2 pounds of ground burger. I did because, again, we serve a family of 5. So we're just gonna spread this out here. And then we're going to take our 1 1/3 cups frozen peas. That's what I have in here, some frozen peas. Now, if you want to make it even lower carb, you can use frozen green beans. You could use peas and carrots. You could use corn. Corn is going to make it a higher carb though. And this brings up a good conversation because I am using a starchier vegetable. I'm using it because our family prefers peas over green beans, but it does bring the carb aspect up a little bit. And the reason why I said it brings up a good conversation is because there's a lot of things out there in the nutrition world that we were always led to believe were once good for us. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what foods are good for us and which ones really aren't so awesome. And yes, peas is a vegetable, and it is a great vegetable. There's absolutely nothing inherently evil about any one particular food, but when you're trying to reduce the amount of carbohydrate that you're taking in, peas may not be the one that you want to go with because it is a higher starchier vegetable. But like I said, you could put broccoli, you could cut up zucchini, you could put green beans in here if you would prefer that instead, and it would lower the carb factor per serving probably about 1 gram, quite honestly. And the reason why I'm bringing up the fact that not all things are created equal is because when I was doing the research for the low carb tater tot hot dish, automatically I just assumed, hey, we're gonna use the veggie tots and I'm gonna use cauliflower veggie tot because you know what, cauliflower, that's in a lot of lower carb foods, that should be the perfect choice. So I went to the grocery store and I bought a couple of bags of cauliflower tots and I bought a couple of bags of the broccoli and cheese broccoli tots. And as I was creating the recipe this afternoon and putting it all together in my nutrition calculator, I was surprised. Cauliflower tots in a pre-packaged form from Green Giant, not the best option. Actually, regular tater tots were even better than the cauliflower tots. So for the sake of this video and for the sake of keeping you guys on track, I'm not going to recommend the cauliflower tots. And after I got to looking at the label, I saw on the label that the cauliflower tots have a bunch of flowers in them to bind it together, and so it really negates the purpose of eating a healthier food, or something that we would assume would be a healthier food. So as I was figuring out the nutrition, broccoli tots came out on top as being the lowest in carbs, followed next by Ore-Ida mini tots, the smaller mini tots. They were actually the next lowest in carbs by 2 grams. They were just 2 grams more than the broccoli tots, and then it was the cauliflower tots. So kind of crazy. Kind of goes to think that we have to rethink and evaluate the nutrition facts label on everything that we eat, because just because something says it's good for you doesn't mean that it really is. For an example, we always think that, or a lot of people think that juicing your fruit is good for you, and it really isn't, because what happens is when you juice fruit, you're taking and destroying the natural fiber in that fruit and the minerals in that fruit, and completely destroying it through the blending and juicing process. And so essentially you, once it's all done and you're drinking juice, you're drinking a straight shot of triglyceride, if you will, which is a sugary fat that goes into our blood and can be problematic for heart disease. And so, and then when you have store-bought juices, they usually have added sugar to it. And so eat the whole fruit. Never eat or drink juice. It's just not necessary, even for small children. They only need water and milk. Crazy, right? So to continue on with our casserole tonight, we have the peas and the meat all incorporated, and then in my measuring cup here I have 1 cup chicken broth and 1/2 cup of heavy cream, and we're going to pour that in on top here. And then we are going to add 1 can of the cream of celery soup. Now, typically in the past, I used to make my broccoli tot casserole with a couple of cans of the cream soups. But they do add some carbs to it. So I did cut it down to 1 can of the cream soup, and then made up for the lack of moisture that I would be losing with only 1 can with the heavy cream and the chicken broth, and it cut the carbs dramatically. So now we got all of this incorporated, and we're just going to stir this all together so it's well incorporated. Couple of other things that, you know, kind of come to mind when we think things are good for us, and they're really not, especially kind of during this cold and flu season. You know, people will take vitamins or supplements, but because maybe the tablet causes stomach upset or something of that nature, they will buy the gummy version of vitamins and supplements. There's sugar in those, folks, to the point where they can sabotage your efforts. I have come across that quite frequently with my patients at the clinic, where, you know, they feel like they're doing really well, but the weight isn't coming off like they want it to. And then we get to evaluating their supplements, we get to evaluate, you know, their beverages that they might be taking in, and looking for those hidden sugars. And lo and behold, we'll come across their supplements, and there's people that have been taking almost 15 grams of carbs in a day, which is 3 teaspoons of sugar in just supplements, and that's not even including their food. So watch labels, calculate those net grams of carbs minus fiber. That is going to be your best guide in what you're going to put into your body. So now we got everything well incorporated here. And I'm kind of notorious for extra seasoning, so I'm just going to add a little bit more seasoning to the top of our mixture, and then we'll add in our veggie tots here. And you're going to space them out. Now, if you are like my kids, who tend to be a little bit OCD, they would stand here and supervise me in how I was spreading these out on the top and making sure they were in even rows. But I'm, again, more of a dumper, so I'm not going to do that. And then I'll put another bag of broccoli tots on this, put a little garlic powder on for seasoning, and then we're gonna top it with a couple of cups of shredded cheese here for all of that good cheesy goodness to fill in the gaps. I will be posting the recipe with the Tater Tot hot dish tonight, so please check that out. And we'll put our seasoning in here. I have my oven preheating at 400 degrees, and we're gonna bake it for 30 minutes or until the cheese is golden bubbly. So this hot dish makes 8 servings. Calories are 539 calories. Net carbs are 16.8, or roughly 3.4 teaspoons of sugar, and 37 grams of protein. If you made it with regular tater tots, the net grams of carb are going to be roughly about 24 to 25. So we are saving roughly 6 grams of carb, which is a whole teaspoon of sugar when you're watching for that kind of stuff. So here is your low carb broccoli tot casserole. I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know if there's any requests out there that you'd like me to make. And you guys all have a good evening. Bye-bye.